And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're taking a look at a game called Miskatonic School for Girls. Now this was a Kickstarter game and very popular, did very well. I have to admit I did not really follow it. I knew it was going on. I knew that it was a popular game. I didn't take a lot of look at it. The theme didn't have a lot of interest for me. I like Arkham Horror. Mixing that with a school for girls, well, I have 6 girls of my own, so why do I need to play a game about a school for girls? But then I heard that it was a deck building-ish game, got it from the company and played it. Certainly have some thoughts on it. We'll get to those in a moment, but before we do that, let's see how the game plays. So here's one of the player boards. There's multiple player boards. They all look the same. And you see that it has a very nice motif to it with a chalkboard. Long may they die. I'm glad we're at the whiteboards. We should be at electronic whiteboards, but I digress. This is the classroom, and you start here with this marker on sanity. You're going to start with 20 sanity, and you're going to go steadily down. Okay, well, you're going to start with a deck of basically starter students. There's lots of students in the game. Let's take a look at each student. Basically, students have a couple things. Up here is purchasing power. You have friendship points and nightmare points. You can see she has 1 friendship point, no nightmare points. Name, a year. And then she has a strength of 2, that's what the mallet stands for, and a defense of 0, and then there may be some more special abilities down here. Now at the beginning of your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to draw up to 5 cards. First you're going to draw only cards from your purchase, so any cards that you purchased the previous turn, or that other people have purchased for you, you draw them first, and you'll draw cards from here, and those cards will go into your deck. And so you're going to have 5 cards in your hands, and the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to look at those and count up all the friendship points and or the terror points, and you're going to buy cards. Now, when you buy cards over here, let's say a card gives you some of both. Let's say you have Josephine Kerwin in your hand. She gives you 3 friendship points or 3 of the nightmare points. Basically, you can use her for friendship or nightmare. So when you're going to buy something, you're going to look at the number down here in the corner. This one costs 7 to buy, and you can buy one of these students and put them in your purchase deck. Or you can, or depending on how many points you have of each, you can buy an evil faculty member and put them in someone else's purchasing, actually the person to your left. And so everyone's basically attacking the person on their left. You must get a student each turn, and you must give a teacher each turn, but if you don't have the money for a student, then you simply take this pathetic transfer student, and if you don't want to have the money for a teacher or don't wish to buy a teacher, you give them a substitute. Now these faculty members are a little bit different. You can see here, they have a paddle, which is their strength, and then they have an apple, which is their hit points. Now, the way the game works is after you're done purchasing, you get rid of all the students from your hand. But any teachers that you have in your hand, and you're going to have lots of these teachers, you're going to place in front of you in the classroom. And each of these teachers makes you draw a card from your deck. Now, if you draw a student, hooray, that student is going to help fight against the teachers. If you draw another teacher, that teacher is considered a pet teacher, and you can immediately take them out of your deck and stick them in someone else's discard pile. So that's good, you get rid of them, but at the same time you don't have a lot of defense. If you have 3 teachers, though, you will draw 3 cards. Now, these cards will fight. So let's say, for example, I have Gussie Johansson on my team, and she does 2 damage. So I look here and I say, well, unfortunately, 2 damage won't kill Amy Gohl or Mr. Pickman, but I can get rid of Gray. So I discard both of these and get rid of them. Amy will then do 1 damage to me, and Mr. Pickman will do 5 damage to me, and I move my sanity down. So you got to get rid of these people before they do damage to you. If you don't draw the proper cards from your deck, then they will do damage to you. Now, there are a few special abilities that can be used in cards. when you draw these students to fight, they're known as, it's hard for me to say this, but they're known as BFFs. And, like, for example, she can just defeat any one faculty in class. That's her special ability. So I would take her, and of course I'd get rid of Mr. Pickman if she was the one that I drew. And there's special abilities of some of the teachers, like, for example, when you defeat the librarian, add this faculty to the discard pile of the house on your left, so that you can get rid of that person. Sometimes, if they survive, like here, if the nurse survives, the player on your right chooses one card in your locker to be removed from the game. You say, what's my locker? Well, as you're going through, at the beginning of each turn, you're going to draw cards so that there's 3 here. Now, there can occasionally be an event that shows up. And when that event, whatever it says, happens. Put this in your locker, lose 1 sanity at the end of your turn. You may spend 3 friendship points at the beginning of paying tuition to give this to the house with the most sanity. So that's a negative thing that's in your locker. But you can also get other things like this overdue book or homework. And when you buy these go face up in your locker, and they'll give you either a special ability or, like the event card, something negative. Now, event cards can show up in both this deck, or they can show up in the teacher deck. And so you're going to continue to, this game is going to continue on. Once your sanity goes down past 1, you're out of the game. And the last person whose sanity is reduced to 0 is the winner. You've stayed sane the longest. Now, real quick, before we head over to my opinion of the game, I did want to take a closer look at the artwork. The students, you know, I mean, I know they look different, but, you know, they seem samey to me. I have a hard time telling them apart, you know, from seeing a picture, oh, it's that student. On the other hand, it's some pretty cool drawings, I think, of the faculty, and once you see those, the picture will become ingrained with you as to what that kind of faculty member does. It is a little odd that you have a student coming and then another student of the same kind might show up. That's a little odd thematically, but other than that, it does make sense thematically. The designer told me that this game was a deck builder for people who play Munchkin. He said, just like Dominion was a deck builder for those who like Magic the Gathering, this is one for those who like Munchkin. And I think that that is the case. There are some good concepts in this game. I like the idea of buying cards to put in someone else's deck. That's a good concept. I like the fact that the teachers might be bad, but they also have, they give you friendship points and or the terror points or the nightmare points that you can use to buy cards. It's neat. And it's possible to get rid of teachers. The idea of a teacher coming up, not helping you at all, but at least you can get it out of your hand. So there's some interesting ideas there. The whole fighting concept, the whole idea of the game works. Although it is a little weird for me to be playing a game, I guess, and I'm talking about my BFFs and friendship points and oh yay, you know. Okay. But all that aside, I don't like the game. And I'll tell you why. I mean, I had fun playing it because it was silly and we all, you know, we can make any game fun. But I don't, you know, one of the problems I had with Ascension, to talk about another deck builder, when it first came out was that there was 6 different cards that you could purchase between, well, with 2 more on the side, 8 different cards, and I felt like, you know, it wasn't like Dominion where I felt like there was strategy. Here, I feel like the choices are even more constrained. When you have points, friendship points and or nightmare points to spend, you really should buy the most expensive thing that you can afford. It's just a matter of fact. And when the cards come up, it isn't like, oh, I'm going to play this card this way, this card this way. You just play the cards as is. In essence, you don't really do much. You just play the game and see what happens. Now, you could have screaming fun and have, you know, it's interesting, but there is at least one broken card in the game. Honestly, there's one event that comes up and it says the person with the highest sanity moves down to the person with the second highest sanity. Well, if it's a 2-player game and you're killing me and also it just evened everything out. Terrible card. Things like that even the game out artificially are just, they're no fun for anyone involved. The artwork is good. The theme is there for the people who think that a school for girls with Arkham Horror. I mean, I see year 3 on some of these girls. Why are you still going to school here? But I can set that aside. Will this please the Munchkin crowd? I think so. Does it have high replayability? I don't think so. Is it very strategic? Not really. Is there going to be people who like it? Yes. Is it for the serious strategic gamer? Never. Is it for the casual gamer? I'm not even sure it's for them. I think it might be even lighter than that. So I'm giving this the thumbs down, but with the caveat that some people are going to enjoy it, and there are some good ideas here, which with a bit of development could really have been developed into a fantastic game. But I don't think this one's fantastic.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.